your Whatcom County government and police departments, fire departments, our support personnel in every one of those agencies, our 911 takers, our healthcare workers, bless them, are doing the absolute level best for all of the citizens in Whatcom County. It's humbling to see what's happening. But the biggest thing is that we will get through this, and we're all in it together. And if we work in it together, then we will come through it even faster.
All right, we're here today with Lieutenant Claudia Murphy of the Bellingham Police Department, and she's been working with the Whatcom Unified Command Center as their media liaison. And Claudia, thank you for taking the time to be here with us today and to do this interview.
I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to talk to you about Unified Command and what our response is to the COVID-19 crisis.
Can you explain a little bit about what Unified Command is and what your goals are as an organization?
Well, Unified Command is based on an incident management system through NIMS. It's a set of protocol that's set up for any sort of large disaster scale. So this Unified Command is not particular to COVID-19. Unified Command was set up for the flooding that happened prior to the first time Whatcom County had a positive test. So there were people working in our emergency operations center under a Unified Command setting for the flooding. And all Unified Command means is that under normal circumstances in our county, the Bellingham Police works and it has their jurisdiction. The Sheriff's Office works and has their jurisdiction. Emergency Management has theirs. In a crisis like this, all those agencies come together, those that are critically needed, and they become a Unified Command. And each of the critical branches has their own incident commander. So we have a representation at the incident command level from the City of Bellingham, from the Whatcom County Health Department, and from Whatcom County. Those are the primary three incident commanders that are in charge of this incident. So the reason that these three incident commanders, they're referred to as Unified Command. In other words, they all work in concert to make the decisions with regard to how the county responds to this crisis.
Gotcha. And I understand that that can scale depending on the amount of crisis or the amount of response that is needed in the community.
Right. So what happens is there's a whole structure in place. So you have the incident commanders who are working as a Unified Command group. And then under each of under the incident commanders, you have four branches. So you have an operations branch, a planning branch, a logistics branch, and a finance branch. And then you also have the media, which is not a separate branch, but it's a section right underneath the incident commanders. And each of those sections can grow or shrink depending on where you are in the uptick or downturn of your incident. So OSO, the landslide at OSO is an exemplary example of how Unified Command was deployed here in the state of Washington, where it went from nothing, the landslide occurred, they brought in Unified Command, and then it scaled up and scaled up and scaled up as the slide came down, and then it was a recovery effort, and then it was a rebuilding effort. And then at the very end of an incident, there's what's called the recovery effort, and then they stand down. So it builds up slowly until its max capacity or the incident is under control. And then as it becomes under control and that's clear, and resources are not needed any longer, they are sent back to their originating agencies, and it is stood down and shrunk down in a very orderly fashion and in a planned out fashion. And then it comes all the way back down to one or two people, they finish it off, and after action report is done, a hot wash is done, and then that incident command and that Unified Command for that incident is put to bed until you stand it up the next time.
Gotcha, okay. So from your perspective and from everyone working in the command center, what are some of the biggest things right now that our community can do to actively prevent further spread of COVID-19?
There's one single thing that our community, as well as everybody in the nation, can do that is critically important to prevent and mitigate the further spread is we have to listen to our governor's order of stay home and stay healthy. It is necessary. That is the biggest thing that each of us as an individual taking responsibility in our community can help to lower that curve of the spread. So if we're looking at we are always looking for a greater thing that we can do. And if you have a special skill set, that's one thing, but every single person can do what the governor has asked of us. And that is, unless you must be out, be at home. I would suggest that if you have a family of 4 and you need groceries, send one person. Don't go all to the store. And that reduces the number of people who are going to the store. At the store, be very cognizant of maintaining that social distance. It's not about just you and your grocery list. It's about you and your grocery list and watching the cart in front of you. 2 shopping carts. Stay away from people. 2 shopping carts. Try to go down the aisle the same direction as everyone else, not against the grain. And stay that 6 feet distance. Washing hands. And then teaching our kids and teaching our young people that this is our part. You know, people are looking and searching for ways to help. Sometimes we can't do it monetarily. We can't do it by providing a thing or solving the problem. But if everybody does their part and stays home and obeys that, that is actually the most critical part that we can do. And then we let the professionals come in, the healthcare workers, the EMS workers, the law enforcement officers. We are still working, and we will then come in and maintain what we need to maintain and get the supplies and resources to those who have requested them in the order that is the most important to we prioritize, obviously, healthcare workers, EMS. That's the priority, to get them personal protection equipment so they can do their jobs to maintain a safe environment for everyone else to still feel safe in.
Yeah. What are your feelings towards like how Bellingham and Whatcom County as a whole are responding to the governor's orders? Are people heeding these orders, or are you still seeing group gatherings or other people not taking this super seriously, or what's being seen out there right now?
Well, I can only speak for when I leave my house and come to the EOC and then go right back to my house or stop at the grocery store, and from me personally. And I can tell you, just from those drives, there are many fewer cars on the road. The stores are not as packed. When I seem to see them from a bigger or larger perspective, I can tell you that there are many people heeding the governor's orders, because we hear people being at home. We see it on social media. You can see it in the streets when you do go out to the grocery stores. The parking lots are far emptier at 5 o'clock in the afternoon than they used to be. So I do believe that people are taking it seriously, but we still have some folks who are fairly lighthearted about it and ignoring it. And the other side of that coin is that the governor did say that part of staying home and staying healthy, the staying healthy part, is doing that which gets you outside to breathe fresh air. So walking around the neighborhood and taking a spin on your bike and taking a drive, and as long as you observe that social distancing, he has said that that is okay. But that brings us to a point that is really important for me to put out to the community, is that just because 2 people are walking in the park together or sitting on a bench together doesn't mean that that's a violation of the governor's order. Those people may live in the same household. Therefore, they don't have to stay 6 feet apart. They're in the same household. As long as they stay 6 feet apart from any other stranger, then that's something that is okay. And we're encouraging people. This is from the police departments, all of the police departments. Are encouraging people not to call 911 for that. That 2 people sitting on a park bench or walking together on a trail, that is not a violation of the governor's order. He encouraged people to get out and get the exercise they need. If we see a restaurant that is serving food to people in a dining setting, like people are coming in and sitting down at a table and eating, that's something we would need to know, because that is a violation of the governor's orders, even prior to the stay home, stay healthy. So those are the things that we would want the community members to know about. Many community members are concerned about open businesses still. We have to remember that the essential and non-essential businesses thing is a very complicated thing. And what I may think is an essential business may actually be non-essential, and vice versa. What I believe in the most important one is that people are walking around believing that there are businesses that are open that, in their view, their personal view, fits the non-essential business. And that's not for individuals to decide. There's a process that businesses go through the governor's website, where they register themselves for being essential business, and they explain why. And if they're given that dispensation, then they're permitted to stay open, regardless of what other citizens may think. That also is not a 911 call. Mm-hmm. That is a thing that is happening that we are all having to mitigate, and we are asking the public's help. to help our 911 operators and our law enforcement folks to really use that resource for which it was intended. And having a question about essential business, that's not what our 911 center is for. Unless, like I said, it is clearly and obviously presenting a safety hazard, and it is in direct violation of a food service production line, or it is a large gathering like a party and people are ignoring it, then that's certainly something that should be called in. Those are the things that we would want folks to know.
Okay. So obviously there's a ton of information out here. There's a lot of information at the national level and the state level. Yes. What information is available? I know you recently launched the whatcomcovid.com as a resource center. Yes. Can you explain a little bit about what's on that site, what information exists there that people can take advantage of and learn from?
We were very pleased in that obviously the Whatcom Unified Command sprung up just Monday, 2 Mondays ago, just barely in 10 days now. Yeah. And by the end of our first week, a website had been created from the ground up. And what our COVID.com website is all about is it is a repository of vetted information that really links you back to those sites that we have vetted. So the national sites and the state level sites that will provide you the information that you need. So our health department, the State Department of Health, the CDC, the governor's website, all those websites, FBI.gov, in case you have questions regarding scams. Because sadly, in any emergency, as we know, scammers tend to prey on people who are vulnerable to that. And so we have some information about scams. We have medical information. We link to the health department. All of the news releases that are coming out through the Whatcom Unified Command are posted there for you to view. We encourage you to visit the site and please sign up and get those alerts when we push new information out there. But mainly it's a repository for vetted sites for you to gain information that is credible, as opposed to finding it on the internet and it may not be incredible.
If you were to leave viewers with one thing that you want to really impress upon them, what would that be at this time?
I don't know if I have one thing. If I can cheat the system a little bit, the important thing I've already mentioned is that if each of us obeys the governor's order and does what we can to stay home and stay healthy, that is going to do so much for our community. Do what you can to help. Keep yourself healthy, stay entertained. And the biggest message is that understand that your Whatcom County government and police departments, fire departments, our support personnel in every one of those agencies, our 911 takers, our healthcare workers, bless them, are doing the absolute level best for all of the citizens in Whatcom County. And it's humbling to see what's happening. But the biggest thing is that we will get through this and we're all in it together. And if we work in it together, then we will come through it even faster.
I appreciate you taking the time to speak with me today, and just hats off to you and your entire team there. I know you guys are all working tirelessly, and you really are I know we're all on the front lines of this thing in some way, but I know there's a core team of people there that have been just putting in really long days and hours, and we really appreciate everything that you guys are doing for our community and helping us get through this together. So thank you.
Thank you very much for those kind words. We really appreciate it, and I will pass them on. So it's much appreciated.